You remember Turron Davenport. He used to cover the Philadelphia Eagles. Did a great job. It was always fun to talk to him every week about the Eagles. Now he'll give us some insight as he's covering the Tennessee Titans, ESPN.com Titans reporter. Turron Davenport on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. How are they treating you in Nashville there, Turron?
Oh, man, they are treating me really well. The one mistake that they pointed me to was getting hot chicken, and that's just like eating a red pepper, and everything else has been good.
Well, it's good to
How
hear.
about you guys?
Yeah, everything's good. You know, the matchup got us a chance to reunite here. It was always great hearing your insight, and I know that you know this Eagles team pretty well. So when you see this Tennessee team and how they might match up here, what are a couple of the things this week that you kind of, in your own mind, said, this will be interesting to see? Because I see 9-6. I see a team that really wants to play a fist fight here, and Philly, you know, their offense is not clicking right now.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, they won a physical football game, but I think there's two things offensively that really the Titans are going to be able to, you know, work to take advantage of. And the first thing is that when you have those wide rushers coming, there's going to be rushing lanes for Mariota to step up and, you know, find and break a long run. I would definitely expect to see Mariota, you know, a 3rd and 7, break off a 12-yard run and get out of bounds. And, you know, that's deflating to a defense. So those are the type of plays that, you know, especially when they go man defense and their back is to the quarterback, those are opportunities for the Titans to have some big plays. But the other thing is just there's a formula for going against this Eagles defense, and that's the quick passing game. If you're able to get into a rhythm and pass the ball on those slants, those quick hitches, screens, and those type of plays, you could kind of negate that pass rush that's really second to none. You know, when you look at those guys, I mean, they come in waves. So you want to be able to negate that, and that's how you do it. And you combine that with the fact that the corners, they tend to play off a little bit. So, you know, there's free releases, and there's no really disruption of the timing in the passing game. So there's opportunities there. And when the corners like Jalen Mills and Rasul Douglas, you know, Ronald Darby, they're aggressive guys. When they start inching up and they start jumping those routes, you use their strength to their disadvantage, and that's when you run double moves.
Yeah, we know that that's a problem for Mills a lot. He's been beat by Deshaun Jackson this year. You know what this defense's limitations could be without Rodney McLeod. Do the Titans have the personnel to exploit that, going most likely after Corey Graham?
Yeah, I think they do have the personnel to do that. I think when you look at number 13, Taywan Taylor, he's a guy that is a pretty sound route runner, but his ability to get yards after the catch, I think there's going to be some chances for him to catch some slants and you know, find a seam. And McLeod, he was a really sound tackler. You know, when you lose a guy like that, you know, Corey Graham, he's still a solid pro, but I don't think he's on the level of Rodney McLeod. But then also when you look at it, Jim Schwartz likes to use that big nickel, right? He likes 3 safeties, you know, Corey Graham, Malcolm Jenkins, and Rodney McLeod. So having Rodney back there at center field, a reliable guy that allows you to put a guy like Malcolm down in the box, and, you know, you're able to be pretty strong against the run as well as the pass in your big nickel package. I'm not sure that they'll be able to do that now. And, you know, in addition to that, that gives you opportunities to pass the ball as well, you know, especially with your tight ends. You know, Jonnu Smith is a guy, second-year player out of Florida International. He actually grew up in Philadelphia, right? Grew up uptown in the Germantown area, and then moved to Florida. And he's kind of like a Delaney Walker clone. That's what he was kind of billed as coming out of FIU. So he's going to be, you know, a part of this passing game also, and that's something that they could take advantage of. So I think there's ways that they could do some things. But, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, you know, defending champions. And that defense is really good. So, I mean, yeah, we can sit here and say that they'll find a way to take advantage. But, you know, when you got those guys up front and then Jordan Hicks and Nigel Bradham, there's ways that you can make up for the loss of Rodney McLeod.
Real quick, what is the latest on Mariota? I know he's got this this elbow nerve injury. Vrabel kind of said he can't make all the throws. Where does he stand with that? Because he didn't even start last week.
Yeah, I mean, as far as making the throws, I don't think there are any issues. He has the glove that's modified, and You see him delivering the ball down the field, making those strong throws, from hash to outside the numbers, the deep over routes, the deep digs. I don't think there are any issues. And, end of the day, he still has his legs, so he can still, run to pass, and he can throw the ball. So I don't think there's any reason for the Eagles defense to come in thinking they're going to get a handicapped Marcus Mariota. They have to prepare for him to be ready to go at full power.
Having said that, Mike mentioned, how is he going to be able to throw? Is he going to make all the passes? How much of the game plan do you anticipate the Titans to use with his legs, Turron? Like, will there be a lot of Mariota scrambling and design play calls for him to use his legs and attack the Eagles defense that way?
Well, yeah, when you look at Matt LaFleur, his kind of foundation, his basis, it comes from, the Kyle Shanahan side of things. So that means you're always going to see play action. So, yeah, for sure, they're going to roll Mariota out, and they'll give him an opportunity to make that high-low read, when they flood that side of the field. And if it's not there, they're going to ask him to take off. But they're also going to run some read options. They're going to option these defensive ends. I mean, listen, man, Chris Long, BG, Derek Barnett, these guys, Michael Bennett, they're aggressive, so there's going to be opportunities to kind of option them and kind of put them in a bind. Okay, you're going to take the running back, you're going to take the quarterback, and they'll play off of that. Then you have the RPO side of things also. So I think you're going to see a good amount of opportunities for Mariota to run with the football. That's one of the ways. I mean, they called a read option run. It was 3rd and 2, and they broke off a 15-yard run by Mariota, and that kind of sealed the deal for the Jaguars game. So they'll definitely be willing to do that. And that was with Mariota having come into the game after Gabbert was knocked out.
What's the blueprint for this Titans defense on the other side of the ball to really attack the Eagles offense and potentially get them out of rhythm and make it a long day for the Eagles on the offensive side?
Yeah, it's all about getting after Carson Wentz. And, it's easy to say get after Wentz. Teams have done that in the past, and they've paid severely for it. But when you got guys like Derek Morgan, from Coatesville, there's a lot of Philly guys on this team, by the way. When you got guys like him, like Brian Orakpo, when you got guys like the rookie Harold Landry, who reminds me so much of Derek Barnett, you want to be able to get that outside pass rush, but you want to keep Wentz contained within the pocket, which is really good when you have a guy like a Jarrell Casey who could come up and push the pocket. So that's what you want to do. In the back end, really what they have to do in order to compete with this Eagles team is go against that 13 personnel package. And those 3 tight ends that the Eagles have, and Perkins, obviously Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert, they can do so much out of that package. So it's going to come down to Kenny Vaccaro coming down and being able to match up Kevin Byard, who's from Philadelphia, from West Philly. It's going to come down to these guys really matching up with the tight ends, and that's the major matchup that is going to have to be won by the Titans if they expect to beat the Eagles. Because Carson Wentz loves to throw to the tight ends. I think it was 20 targets to them last week, So you definitely want to take that away.
Just 7 to wide receivers. They might get Jeffrey back, kind of a mystery, Turron. I mean, he cleared for contact, but he was sick the last couple of days, so he hasn't really practiced all that much. That should be interesting. Jay Ajayi back. Sproles will be out. Clement is questionable, but Smallwood, and Smallwood's deal, man. He was good last week, but he's hit or miss. So I'm interested to see, where is there an area on that Titans defense that would concern you? So if Doug Peterson's looking at an area to kind of exploit.
If I'm Doug Peterson, I'm attacking the outside, and I tell you what, I'm going at Malcolm Butler. Yeah, he's the big free agent that the Titans signed, but I'm going right at him, and I'm going at him with Nelson Aguilar, and I'm going to do 3-by-1 set. Have Aguilar isolated on the backside against Butler, and get him to get that free release, because if he could do that, then you're going to get opportunities to throw the ball down the field. Butler has to get contact at the line of scrimmage. If he doesn't, he's in trouble. And if you look at some of the touchdowns, the 2 that he gave up this year, that's exactly what happened. Kenny Stills got him for a 70-plus yarder. Will Fuller, Roman Catholic, got him for a 39-yarder. So there's going to be opportunities. That's the way I would do it, outside of the tight end.
You're around this Tennessee team. You were around the Eagles all year last year, a team that went to the Super Bowl. This Tennessee team went to the playoffs. I think people forget because they're just not flashy, but changed their coach. Does this team feel that they are kind of like disrespected league-wide? Do they look like, hey, people don't talk about us?
I tell you what, Kevin Byard, I talked to him after the Jaguars game, and he said, we may be the underdogs to the media, but we feel like we're the big dogs now, and he said, the Jacksonville Jaguars, we play them twice a year. We're not scared of them or anybody. We are the big dogs. So I think that tells you right there,
interesting,
that they feel they're a little bit, underrated.
Yep.
But and I asked Vrabel about that after the game, and he said that he's not really concerned about that, the underdog status. He acknowledged that this is a crazy league, and any week, any team could win. Look at the Bills. They beat the Vikings at home. So, everybody has a shot, and that's really what he's focused on.
Yeah, and that's South. I mean, it seems that all those teams can just kind of play ugly, fist-fighting type of football, and whoever stands at the end, and makes it to the playoffs can make it a interesting game in a one-on-one set because they all play this style. I mean, Indianapolis last week came in here and had a fist fight. Jacksonville wants to fist fight you, so Tennessee seems to fit right in with the style of that AFC South.
Without a doubt, and I tell you, nobody in this division, no one's going to win any beauty contest when it comes to the style of game that they win. But end of the day, you put a W in the win column. That's the whole goal for the teams each week.
So interesting matchup this week. You got Philadelphia going down to Tennessee. I saw your tweet earlier this week, Turron. They won 11 out of their last 13 in that building. So they got a lot of pride inside that building down there in Nashville. So do you think, knowing the Eagles as well as you do, that this is going to be a tricky game for them playing in that building?
Oh, I know it's going to be a tricky game for them playing in this building. I mean, to be honest with you, they could play this team anywhere, and it's going to be tricky. Anywhere outside of the Lynx is just different. What teams have to play at Lincoln Financial Field, but it's just styles make fights, right? And, you got a couple teams here who match up pretty well. When you could be physical with a physical team, and just kind of take it to them early, you give yourself a shot. What did Frank Reich always tell us when he was in Philly in his press conference? Everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. And that's really, it's a Mike Tyson quote. And that's something that I think this Titans team is kind of taken on, as far as punching somebody in the face early and staying on them throughout the game. And that's the way that they've been able to stay competitive.
Turron Davenport here on the Boardwalk Honda Hotline. He covers the Tennessee Titans, ESPN.com. It is Eagles and Titans in Nashville. Should be a very interesting game. Certainly not going to look like the game we saw last night, I can tell you that much. And, of course, we'll have that game. Countdown to kickoff coverage begins at 10 a.m. Turron, great to catch up with you, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Definitely. Always a pleasure. You guys take care.